Are now live. Yes, we are. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Slam Jam Championship Wrestling Show here on the Extreme Improv Extreme YouTube channel, as well as the Slam Jam YouTube channel, as well as everything else Slam Jam related on the web, on Twitch, on X, on Kick. Maybe I'm not even sure anymore. So we're going to be discussing all kinds of things today. We're going to be getting into our previews for WWE Clash in Paris, which is this weekend. I'm sure we'll comment on the news story that has dominated the controversy of Syko Stu and being beaten up for real in a wrestling ring, and all this other kind of stuff. And Jim Ross has apparently re-signed with AEW. AEW had All in Texas just a few short days ago. We'll cover all of this and so much more after the intro. If I can press it with my mouse, which is going weird. There we go.
We're locked in the cage, it's the Slam Jam Show. We're dynamite, you better feel alive. We're better than you, and you know it. Yeah. If you don't like it, we got two words for you. Slam Jam, feel the power, feel the roar. Slam Jam, it's the smackdown you've been waiting for. You can't see us, Chico, you've been serving hard time. Ooh, yeah. Slam Jam, and that's the bottom line. Slam Jam, now there's a Slam Jam wrestling show. We're life for life, up good, it's the big show. You got no chance when you're in booking. That's the risk, that's the worst. If you smell what we're cooking, it's a Slam Jam wrestling show. The champion's here. Snap into a Slam Jam. The Slam Jam show. Yeah, yo. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know. It's the Slam Jam show. Freedom blast. One big ass. It's the Slam Jam F1 show of you. Yeah.
Boom! And we are on the air. So, Ian, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people. It's good to see you all virtually. It's been a while.
It has been a couple of weeks, yeah. I've not been well, audience. I've not been at all well. But I'm kicking out at this stage, and I'm like making the hot tag. Ian is here, my tag team partner for tonight. Everyone else, they're either at wrestling or they're wrestling abroad. That might not be true, but some of them are abroad or have other things to do. But we'll get into everything. So, I think the first thing we'll quickly cover, because I've got a feeling I know where this goes. Did you see All in Texas?
I did not.
No, me neither. Right, let's wipe that to the side then.
I do know it was Forbidden Door as well, so we can.
Oh shit, you're right.
extra
Yeah, what the
wipe
hell
it.
is wrong with it?
I can't
Guys,
remember
I have
what it's
been
called.
ill. I have been ill. What can I say? It's the last 2 years. That weekend was All In. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's like All In. I did All In Texas.
It was Wembley, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so what am I saying? It was in the UK. I wasn't at it, unfortunately. It was a shame. I would have liked to have been at it, but apparently they're going to come back to Wembley next year.
I believe so.
And,
yeah, I think it's good to give it a rest between, because I think they did a huge number that first year, didn't they? And then I can't remember what the number was second year, but
it was a lot less. Like
so.
I was there for both of them, and the first year they had the controversy over the inflated number, and then it all became about
Will Ospreay get it tattooed? Is that
tattoo of number?
Yeah.
Okay, but that sums up a big problem with AEW, because he then, well, technically after that first one, he was still in New Japan. He wasn't even signed to AEW. Mm-hmm. But he put out that video where he's like, I can't believe I've done this. Bruv, what have I done? And then they took that down, because it's like, yeah, don't admit to it. Like, right. They've still never admitted that they didn't have 93,000 at WrestleMania 3. So
no, indeed, famously.
Exactly. It's just it's like the moon landing. Everyone know it didn't happen, but like we're just gonna pretend it did.
We're
Right.
diving into the real topics this week.
Yeah, there we go. Do you know, this is the thing, Ian, right? So I will have a quick look at what happened on Forbidden Door to see if there's anything noteworthy.
I keep up with AEW from a distance. I just don't have physical time to keep up
Yeah,
with all the hours of wrestling. The
it's
big
been the same
takeaway
for
I've
me.
seen is a little bit of an injury crisis with several people that were in that cage match.
Yeah,
Quite a few of them were banged up at best going into the match. So in some ways, it makes sense to have let's get 10 men all together, because even though it's a lights out cage match, there are enough moving parts that people can rest, save one or two big spots, you know.
Yeah, like the thing about that. So one of the things that people pointed out, and I completely agree, they've got Darby Allin locked in the cage at the end. They're going to beat him up. It's not a Hell in the Cell. They can get in the cage if they climb over it, and they didn't come to his rescue. And that's kind of that's kind of like, you need that continuity editor that you have on a film set, who could just look at it and say, hang on guys, there's a flaw here. So you can pre-plan around these mistakes.
Well, I think there's an example, isn't there? Just on the most recent episode of Raw, which was a lot more Roman Reigns heavy than previous weeks have been. And They did a little scene between Roman and Jay just before the main event, where Roman was sort of imparting some wisdom. And then I can't remember the exact wording, but I think he left. It was clear that Roman was leaving the building now and good luck, which then explains Roman not coming out to make any kind of save in the main event. It's just those little tiny details.
Yes.
As nerdy wrestling fans, we like to pull at the thread of sometimes.
Well, do you know what though? It's people. If people can see it, it's what helps us suspend the disbelief.
Right.
Because
exactly.
I remember from the early days of AEW, there was, I forget who was kidnapping him, but Tully Blanchard was tied to a chair at on the entrance ramp, and when he's tied there, he's gagged and all this. And when he gets up, you just saw that he's holding the rope behind his back, and it's you didn't. And it was like that. Did you see that concerto?
The angles for that were not
to Christian
helpful, and obviously, you've got to. That's such a. If it was a shoot, dangerous move.
Yeah,
so you have to cheat the angle, but then that's where camera work.
Yeah. Well, this is why, by doing it behind, you saw it just missed. If they'd done it in front.
Yeah,
this is a basics stage combat kind of rule,
right.
So exactly literally, if it goes in front and it's fast, you can't definitely know if it connected or not.
Right.
If someone does a punch and if it's to the side and it's over my shoulder, then you can't see if it connects. If you go like this to the side, then you see that it's missed.
It's difficult as well, isn't it? Because I know certainly in WWE's case, over the last, let's say 6 months, I guess, maybe since Netflix, they've been trying lots of new things with camera stuff. So they've had cameramen and women up on the apron, hot tags seems to be a thing, especially where they're kind of trying to do single shot stuff, following the hot tag, which I think is great, and I'm all for trying new things. But there's been moments where you can tell that the wrestlers are still wrestling for the hard cam. They're not wrestling for this camera that's right here. And so you are seeing notable gaps in the physicality, which
it's amazing how the skill has developed, just being TV present. Because if you look back at anything like NW or even WWF, but NWA, WCW from the 80s, 90s, or 70s, and you see this, they're delivering promos just with their back to the audience. And if you look, I'm gonna bring this up actually, and I'll probably get demonetized instantly for it. But hopefully I can just prove the point with the freeze frames. So the famous Shockmaster moment, Shockmaster debut, WCW.
Is there a wrestling fan that hasn't seen the Shockmaster? If you're watching and you haven't, pause it now and go and find it.
Okay, so look, this says Shockmaster higher quality. So let's get past the ad.
There was nothing high quality about it.
Well, I just mean the footage for years.
No, I know.
Like Watchmania and stuff at first. it was such a poor quality, like that someone had obviously recorded VHS. Okay, so let's bring this up now. YouTube is being really pain in the butt. So let's have a look here. Can I bring up a force field? That isn't the force field. This is the force field. It's the bad force. I need to make a new force field. Right. So I'll forget it. Right. This is too much of a force field. I don't like it. Right. So if I get demonetized. So you've got here the British Bulldog already at the beginning of this, and his back is 3/4 away from the camera. Fair enough. It's a crowd. Flair's the focus of this. Sting there, Sid there, Harlem Heat there. That even maybe Tennessee Lee or someone behind it, or Colonel Buddy Lee Parker, whatever. And just as it goes on, this is the promo. It's like, okay, so now Bulldog is masking Sting. I can't even see who the dude behind Sid is because it's masking him. I think that's Booker masking Stevie Ray. And it's just like, in terms of blocking from a performance perspective, they've done this where there's 2, 4, 6, 7 of them, and you can't see almost anyone at all.
Right.
And then look at Bulldog, just the evolution of this. Right. And look, and there's a woman over there. And obviously they go to different angles. So we do.
Well, that's even worse then, isn't it? Because it shows you that they have those different angles to play with.
Exactly.
So long just on this awful shot.
But like, so whatever Sid's seeing, we've got Bulldog and Sting. We can't see any of their reaction to it. And as we know, look at Bulldog. What is Bulldog? What is Bulldog at? And he's speaking to Sting. He's still speaking to Sting. And now he's going to turn it out to the crowd. And nope, he's straight back again. This whole thing is diabolical.
He's showing off his jacket quite nice.
But then the famous moment, he's going to shock the world. And then obviously this went wrong. And but like this is where Botchamania have missed it out, because like it's not as a comedic moment, but this is a 57 seconds into the clip. And look at them, all of their backs,
not a single
to the camera.
Yeah.
This is as big a botch as what is about to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And then obviously we have the famous moment, Botchmaster. Shockmaster comes out.
That helmet, man, that
oh my God.
Every time.
Yeah, and so he does his stuff. He's got his voiceover, which is ridiculous. Why debut a character where you need 2 people to perform it, right? And then they cut across, and look at it. Look at Booker's face. Look at Sid's face. We get the reactions. We could have had those reactions the entire segment, but we just couldn't see them. And then obviously Flair and Bulldog are just saying like, he fell on his ass, what a effing loser, and stuff like this. Right. Again, because they don't know what they're doing. And then it's all in the close-ups, and then, you know, somehow they actually, in every way, kind of recover it. But the first whole beginning of this, just everyone putting their back to the audience as much as humanly possible.
It's a telling comparison as well, isn't it? Because nowadays I think there are times where the TV presentation of it all can feel a little contrived, with perhaps everyone having a private conversation with this hidden camera they're pretending that it isn't there. And they're all kind of cheated to be sort of at least diagonally on the camera. Yeah. But I can suspend my disbelief much more with something like that than just, I can't flip and see anybody.
Yeah. My favorite, like when they've always kind of had those moments, but I think the point where I was just like, what is this? Because to me, like wrestling being real, growing up, I was just like, this is like reality. This is reality TV. And so if you remember the moment where The Undertaker kidnaps Stephanie and he's driving a limo and he turns around.
Where Henry, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's just like, what? He's kidnapping the cameraman as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Look, the cameraman's in there as well. Like, cameraman, do something. You know, save Stephanie.
Yeah, I think that's part of being a wrestling fan that I think so many non-wrestling fans can't get past. Yeah. Whereas they can go and watch a Marvel film, or they can go and watch go to the West End and watch Wicked, and there's no qualms there about suspending one's disbelief.
Yeah.
You know, whereas we just kind of there's a hidden camera there.
The thing is, I think if they were smarter about it and set absolute rules, they could make it so it's always logical that the camera's there. Or they could say, this is the camera zone, where it's like Truman Show or something. And it's like, we set up the cameras to capture the stuff, and they're not operated with a person there. But then even then, the wrestler would be,
isn't it?
like, you know, you can imagine the Judgment Day in particular, who were always filmed in these segments. They'd come in the week later and be like, hey, you were secretly filming us or something.
Well, I think, that's...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Use the fact that, guys, we're going to take this off camera to add, like, mystery in it. You just have to be smart about it.
Yeah, because when they don't, I think the one thing that I sometimes can be a little bit nitpicky on is, like, this is a TV show, and your fictionalized world is acknowledging now that it's a TV show, you know, and that this is a touring show or a TV show or Netflix or whatever. So these people all have TVs. So if I'm talking to you and you say, oh, excuse me, I'm going to have a private conversation, and you do it in front of a camera, I'm going to watch that show back. Yeah. So it makes like these, what was the most recent one where, it's All Gas, No Brains, where they had Jacob come from behind the door and see that they've been talking, that Solo had been talking about.
Right.
But he could just as well have just watched SmackDown.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
Well, okay. So do you remember when Rhea Ripley was injured, and then the whole Dominic Liv thing started? Right. And when Rhea came back, then in the ring, she's like, Dom, what have you been doing? And it's like, wait, aren't you a couple? Don't you see each other? Like, she got injured.
Phones exist.
Yeah. It's like, they could be smarter around this. You know, he could be like, you know, they could have done the same thing where she was like, you know, I wanted to have this out in front of everyone here and get the truth. Right. And now all of a sudden it's like, you know, you've been avoiding me. You haven't seen me. You know, you barely stay on the phone. And then now it makes sense. But anyway,
it's just weaving a little bit of reality in. But we've set the world to rights now.
Yeah. Now, here's the problem. Like, on this show, like, obviously the last couple of months, it's just like, it's been like, well, what's the controversy this week kind of thing?
Literally.
Right? And it's like, what I think there is something about pro wrestling where deep down everyone wants it to be real, and then it's just searching for what's real, so that we can never just enjoy the show, and we always have to get into the real drama to be like to justify to ourselves that in some way it's real. Right. And I'm going to highlight this just by, I asked AI, what are the 10 biggest news stories in the world of pro wrestling from the last week? We can get into some of these or whatever, but most of them are like controversy based. So the top one, obviously, I'll touch on these now, but then we'll come back to them.
Sure.
So the Syko Stu, Roger Jackson thing that turned far too real incident has been the biggest thing. That was a bigger news story than AEW and anything WWE was doing. That's number one. Number two, Becky Lynch's controversial Ozzy Osbourne comments. And then Clash in Paris updates. Fair enough. Jake Hager's retirement and controversial comments.
I can't wait for some Jake Hager chat.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, then Swerve Strickland surgery. So again, that's not controversial, but it's not what happened on the TV show. It's the real life aspect of it.
It's all about the backstage intrigue, isn't it?
Number 6, Vince McMahon 80th birthday celebration, and then controversy about, oh, well, Drew McIntyre's there or whatever, right? Controversy. AEW, Tony Khan announces rule changes. Now, that's storyline, but the reason that's, if you haven't heard this, the reason that's a big deal is he says that we're not going to do cash-ins anymore, right? So it's a comparison to WWE. So again, edging on to, it's controversy.
It's tenuously story, but it's mainly like the framework, isn't it?
AEW's Queen Amanita stranded in the UK. I didn't even hear anything about this. So
so I think she got robbed, and they took her bag, which had her purse and her US passport and so on. So she was stuck in the UK for a little while. I presume she's back now, but I haven't heard.
Yeah. And then the last one, 10 out of 10 on the list, Hulk Hogan tributes and misreported death. So it's about saying about, because Now it's been for the last couple of weeks was Hulk Hogan murdered, which is just crazy. And like, so we don't have to pick into all of these, but let's start with the Roger Jackson Syko Stu thing. I assume you've seen the clips.
I have, yeah.
So just to give a tiny bit of context to the audience that may not have seen it, but everyone obviously has, some indie promotion, Knox Pro or Knock X Pro, which was apparently owned or run by
the
Rikishi.
ID.
Yeah,
so
WWE
ID banner, wasn't it?
ID, which is maybe they're going to start regretting that because
they've already pulled it.
Exactly, right. So WWE have been not willy-nilly, but you know what I mean, putting their branding onto things which they don't control, and then something like this happens.
They're pollinating like the wrestling world, aren't they, with their ID stuff? And
so Rikishi wasn't there from my understanding, but he apparently owns it or runs it or something like this. And so Rampage Jackson, who was like UFC, I think, wasn't he the guy that was in the remake of the A-Team and stuff like this?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
I think he is. Like, maybe I'm completely wrong.
He's certainly a UFC. If he's not a Hall of Famer now, then
Rampage Jackson
on a short list.
A-Team. Am I wrong? Have I got the wrong guy? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure he was like the guy that ended up playing Mr. T's character. If I'm wrong about that, then people just say that I've muddled up my individuals.
I dare say he's got bigger issues right now than
exactly.
Misremembering where he's from.
No, it's not Stream. I said A-Team. Not So no, it can't help but change this. Was he in A-Team? Is this him? He's not even on the top billing. So was he him? Yeah, he played B.A. Baracus.
Okay.
Phew. Right, okay.
Vindicated.
I'm not just stereotyping someone. But yeah, so his son apparently is now training or is a MMA fighter as well. Roger Jackson had some slight altercation. I haven't even seen all of these early videos. And the weird thing about this is it was all being filmed. Right. Some altercation was filmed. He apologized. They then filmed them saying, we're going to put it into our show. Mm-hmm. And then some other wrestler says, like, give him a receipt.
Right.
And then when you actually see the clip, it's hard to know at what point the agreed plan went sideways, because he picks him up, which if I wasn't if someone picked me up and I didn't want them to, I'd have struggled. So I think at this point, Syko Stu believed this was agreed. But he literally, like, it was an Alabama Slam style, just like throwdown. And I don't know if he just hit the back of his head there, or if it was the next punch, but he was out. And then he gave these, was it 20?
It was plus, at least 20. Yeah.
20 plus unanswered blows, as they'll say in UFC.
Mm-hmm.
One wrestler in the ring tries to stop him. He pushes him off and he keeps pummeling. And then another wrestler gets in, thank goodness, and then like tackles
eventually,
him.
Yeah.
And like 3 or 4 guys like stop this from continuing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing is that there's a video clip where he's on the phone outside, Roger is, and for some reason we can hear the other end of the phone call, which
he's
I was
a big
like,
streamer. I think that was part of it, was that he was streaming like the whole thing.
When I first saw this, I was like, so this is real. This isn't part of the show. And this is one of the weird things that I was going to get to, where because of wrestling being us, like I was saying, we want it to be real. When there's stuff that's real, you end up second guessing, is this real? Is this fake? And there was elements of this which seemed like it was that they'd got a plan. Then being able to hear the guy saying, "Oh, he's flatlined." Now that's serious. But it's like, why was that phone call out loud? Why were they still filming this if it's like literally as serious? Now I'm not questioning that this was a work. What I will just quickly say is, in a sense, imagine if this was a work, and then we find out later, wow, we'd be like, they made us believe wrestling is real. Yeah. Unfortunately, as with all of these things that seem like this nowadays, it turns out the reason it seemed real is because it was.
Right. And
did he just lose his mind and think, I'm just going to keep punching this guy? What was his end game with this?
It's so where do you even start? You know, like I think ultimately it will go down as what was planned to be a work at some stage, at least, that went hugely and, in my opinion, criminally wrong. And you know, there's video of, was it a can that was sort of cracked against his head,
Something
which
like that.
may or may not have been part of a work that may have gone. That moment is supposedly what went wrong initially. They apologized, they shook hands, and then there's footage of him in the crowd. I don't know who he was talking to, Raja Jackson this is, saying, I know wrestling is fake, but I'm going to fuck him up. I'm going to punch him until they stop me from punching him. And that's exactly what he did. And you described the slam as like an Alabama style slam. It was more, to my mind, like a UFC wrestling slam, which I've seen. Yeah, I'm a little less of a UFC fan than I am WWE, but I have watched and do watch on occasion, and I've seen slams knock professional MMA fighters out cold. And I think, as you said, he hit his head on the back of the mat, and then what followed?
I think he was out there, basically.
Everything up to there, part of my brain can see, okay, you gave him his receipt. Even if that bit wasn't worked, you slammed him, receipt given, whatever bullshit mentality that is, which is not something I necessarily agree with, but receipt given. Then he goes on to punch him more than 20 times. And this guy is apparently MMA trained, I believe.
Well, his dad is
Rampage Jackson. But watching UFC, you can see some of the most brutal, real knockouts in sports. Yeah. You know, they don't wear as padded gloves as the boxers do. They punch and kick, elbow.
Apparently that's actually better for them. Okay. Like we can get this perhaps in the conversation for another day. Part of the idea is that when you've got boxing gloves on versus the bare knuckle days, bare knuckles, you'll get a cut, it'll be over pretty evidently quickly.
Right.
The big boxing gloves, it just means that you do more damage over a longer stretch.
There's more,
before it's over.
More impact on the brain, perhaps. But my point is that the UFC fights that I've seen and the knockouts that I've seen, what is synonymous with a fight-ending knockout, even if the fighter is in full-blown kill mode, which these fighters are trained to be in that context, the referees will sprint across the ring, shove the guys off, because punching an unconscious person can kill them. That's a fact. And that's where it becomes a criminal act for me. And I don't buy the receipt thing. I was chatting to someone about it and said it would be like if you do improv, right? Yeah. So if you and I are doing an improv on stage, it would be like me not yes-anding you and like improvly sandbagging you, so to speak. And then 2 hours later, you come to my house and headbutt me. Yeah. That's not a receipt. That's an assault.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And it's really as clear as that to me. And all of the stuff that's come out since, with RVD saying some questionable things, Mark Henry sort of standing with this guy. It's like, this Syko Stu's still in the hospital. Like,
so the only thing I can say for Raj's perspective, and I'm not standing up for him at all.
No,
that he shouldn't have been included there. And so it's like if you do a stunt with a tiger and then it attacks you, it's like, well, why did you allow the tiger in there? So you've got someone that's an MMA guy, and they're just on the whim of, it's an indie promotion, so they're not going to go through all the checks. It's like, oh wow, we've got this. He's the son of Rampage Jackson. Let's get him involved.
It's a bit of clout, isn't it?
It's like, look what happened with Cody Rhodes and Travis Scott. He didn't know how to do a worked punch,
Right.
And then Cody got a burst eardrum, and he was your world champion. And then you get a guy that isn't a rapper, but he's a MMA fighter of the son of Rampage Jackson. And it's like, yeah, like just go him in there. Like, say he was like, I'll slam him, I'll get down, I'll punch. He's like, he doesn't know how to do the first worked punch.
Right.
So, and like, because if say it was that he was going to slam him, sure, then he's going to do a worked punch. If that was the plan, there was that guy. Was he meant to intercept? Because he didn't. It just looked like there was zero plan, and it's like I'm not saying putting blame on. I'm perhaps putting blame on the promotion.
Oh, I absolutely think there is blame to be.
You don't get someone. You know, you might think you've got a celebrity in WWE sat at ringside, and then you say, "Oh, the wrestler's going to come over and get in your face." You give them a shove or something like this. But it looks like there was zero plan for how this was going to play out.
Yeah.
And then this guy went wild, which obviously they couldn't know was going to happen, but it's a risk they took. And then this guy's been really messed up. So the good news is that from what they're saying, that he's doing somewhat better in hospital. I've got
awake
here,
at least.
Yeah, I'll share it. So if people want to like check it out, they can. So this is about Syko Stu, and if there is a silver lining, and I'm sure he'd just rather this didn't happen. This is because he's going to have medical bills, but that has to be like an insane payday for taking it. If you want to put it in a slightly lighter way, so like the amount of support he's got there, and then when it comes up, let's bring up here. It says like the top payers. So he's getting support like Mr. Beast. The Mr. Beast gave him 10 grand.
That's right. I know Jericho's donated as well.
Yeah, Jericho gave 2.5 grand. Derek MD. Don't know who that is. MD could be medical doctor, but I doubt it. And then when you go through here, Nick Nemeth, so that's Ziggler, and Jack Perry, you know, and I'm sure somewhere on here, Miro's like on there.
Miro's been very vocal because did he train with him or did he wrestle with him on occasion at least? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and when they then have shown when there's on the internet, there's like a clip of Rampage Jackson. Obviously, he's going to stand up for his son, but he's now said something like, "The law will play out," which you know, that's kind of like the minimum probably he can say, which is just like, yeah, like
it's all on video.
It's all on video. I think there's a good chance that unless this Syko Stu just like loves Rikishi and been there apparently in the promotion for years, you know, he'll be suing the promotion as much as Roger Jackson. But yeah, this is when wrestling gets too real, much too real. Any other particular thoughts on that? Otherwise, we can move on. Let's cover a couple of these other ones, then we can end on some Clash in Paris predictions. Let's come to Jake Hager and his retirement from professional wrestling and his controversial comments about AEW.
He is not going quietly into the night, old Jakey, is he?
No.
He's shooting his shots.
Do you know, like, what else is he going to do? Especially if he is genuinely retiring from professional wrestling. Like, because he did do MMA. He had like 2 or 3 fights at most. Right. Then he was in AEW at the same time.
It was kind of alongside, wasn't it? He was doing
so he did like 1 fight or perhaps 2 fights. Pandemic happened. Oh no, yeah. So he debuted in AEW. Pandemic happened. He might have done 1 more fight. Then he wore a purple hat, and then he just faded eventually until it was like, oh, he's no longer there. And he said, like, every single day I want to say F Tony Khan.
This is telling.
Yeah. Okay. What do you read into that, Ian?
Well, I think if because that was almost like his premise to everything that he then went on to sort of talk about, truly or not, as we'll probably come on to again. So to preface it with every day I find a way to say F you, Tony Khan. Yeah. Rightly or wrongly, this is not someone who's speaking from a place of having like healed from whatever it was that was upsetting him so much. So he's coming ready to say F you, Tony Khan. Whether or not he's going to directly say that, turns out he's just going to drop in these little stories about Daddy's little billionaire and all this stuff. And I, like anything, I'm sure there's some truth to what he's saying, but it also seems that there's a lot of, let's say,
spin,
perhaps. Yeah. And maybe he's been talking to, telephone, telegram, telewrestler, I think is the old phrase. Yeah. So it does seem to me like a lot of hearsay. And I know, is it, it's either Cash or Dax, I always get them confused,
Dax
has shared some screenshots of a conversation that he and Jake Hager were having where whichever one it was called Hager out and said, why are you name dropping us, and saying that we had, I can't remember, it was some problem with the creative or something.
The idea is, he said that there was, after the Punk situation, there was a Just Talent meeting, and FTR had refused to turn up to do a match.
Right.
And then Tony Khan came in saying, I can put any of you into a 6-man tag on 6 minutes notice.
And you'll do it.
Yeah, stuff like this. Now, that probably didn't happen exactly like that. And probably, I'll believe FTR if they say that they didn't refuse to turn up, because I don't think it... Well, I think they'd turn up if they're told to.
And basically, that text conversation, I think, was quite telling too, because Hager was genuinely apologetic. Like, it was actually something quite healthy to see about them talking, and Hager being like, my bad, I shouldn't have said your names if I wasn't sure. I think there's room for more of that in, well, I was going to say in pro wrestling, maybe in life in general, of people just being able to bury stuff by apologizing. And
the thing about it, though, is he must be so certain. Like, it's the thing that's a real shame to me about AEW, and I'm in a weird place myself with what I feel about AEW. Like, if you go onto like the Slam Jam X account or whatever, people be like, "Oh, you rag on AEW. It's just fun. It's just like, I'll rag on WWE. I rag on anyone if I don't do it for anything other than the joke of it, right?
You're an equal opportunity ragger.
Yeah, exactly. I hate everyone equally, basically. And so, and the way they set themselves up for certain things. Now, the reason I would genuinely be disappointed or feel let down by AEW is because one of the big promises about AEW that was like, maybe it could happen, was that CM Punk's never going to go back to WWE, and they brought him back to wrestling, and it's like, this is what I wanted AEW to exist for.
Right.
And not only did, well, then he left. It's like, well, I went to see Punk, and now he's back in WWE. But along the way, it was like, wow, like, there's some stuff there that doesn't sound at all good. And it being highlighted, it's like, well, yeah, they should, address some of these things. But one of the things I think is a problem, not necessarily for Punk, because he could just disappear from wrestling again and it not be the end of the world for him financially or anything, but the amount of wrestlers that are burning bridges. Like, who is Jake Hager to burn a bridge with a wrestling promotion? Because he was gone from WWE. It wasn't that his contract ended and he jumped ship. And it isn't that his contract ended in AEW and they came a-calling. So he must be pretty set in his retirement here, because it's just like Tony Khan probably gave him, over that amount of years, probably $1 million. I
would say that's a fairly
maybe a bit more. It seemed crazy to me if it was a bit less, because he was there for 4 or 5 years.
Well, think back to the very first Dynamite.
Yeah, he was the big
headline. It was oh my god, Jake Hager's in the Impact Zone stuff.
And and when Jake Hager turned up, everyone's like, wow, he's going to be their Brock Lesnar, and he's an MMA guy, and he's just come in and dominated in the main event. And they didn't know what, and this is one of the problems with AEW from the offset. And this, why someone like Hager probably could be really disappointed or infuriated, because that reaction to his debut was huge. And then the next week, they just had him come out there and be silent. And it's like, oh, so his gimmick is that he's going to be just stand there and silent. When's he going to speak? But then they did stupid, like, YouTube videos where he did speak. It's like, so what's his gimmick? And now Jericho screwed him over at one point, though, even though Jericho clearly is his friend who said bring him in the first place. the audience chanted in his, like, not when he debuted, but the next week, "We the people,"
We the
and he's
People,
like, "That's bad writing." And Jake Hager's face was just like, "What have you just done?" It's like, because when he debuted in MMA, his theme music had got "We the People" on it, so clearly he was personally still into it.
Yeah, well, it was.
And then Jericho killed it, but
the most kind of relevant he got in WWE was with that kind of stuff, which doesn't necessarily appeal to my political leanings, let's say, but it was.
Well, yeah.
It gave him momentum.
It was a weird thing. It was a weird thing because it was meant to be as a heel thing. It was meant to be him and Dutch Zeb Coulter as Dutch Mantel.
Yes, that's right.
Kind of being, we're pro-American and we're going to be anti whatever foreigner, and basically we're the bad guys by being prejudiced, and then a section of the audience just were like, "Oh, but this is fun to chant."
And I think it's so difficult to. I mean, it's maybe a wider discussion for another time, but I think doing that kind of, shall we call it right wing? I don't know what else to call it necessarily. Doing that kind of gimmick as a heel and forgetting that a huge core, especially of the American audience for WWE, and it's true, I think, for UFC as well, leans that way. Yeah. And so start presenting these ideas, even if you're being a heel, you're going to get loads of people
it's because it on. I don't even really know the background. I know I've heard it before, whatever. I don't even quite know what We the People is. It part of their? What is it part of? It's part of their constitution. I don't know.
I'll do some homework because my wife is American. I'll ask her.
Okay.
Next time we do.
So this is actually quite a delicate conversation for you there.
Thankfully, she doesn't lean at all that way, so I should be able to ask her without.
But anyway, so the point is if that was meant to be a patriotic thing, you think having Dutch Mantel say it, and he's like this dirty big. Well, basically, I'm not trying to be mean. He kind of got your mustache from this last week. Right, I don't know if that's a spoiler. Sorry if it's a private thing. Right, you had a fun mustache, though.
I will embarrass myself. And
go, only if you want to. I don't want to put you on the spot with this.
The words are out now, David. We've said it.
Sorry. But yeah, so God, that is epic. Okay, so yeah, I think that needs to, that needs to have the comeback anyway. But yeah, so they've got Dutch Mantel. And even though he's like this greasy, dirty old man kind of thing, and it's meant to be a heel, it's like, well, if the thing they're saying is meant to be patriotic, it backfired on them. Because if you remember when they'd got JBL doing like the Mexican border kind of thing, but his opponent's Eddie Guerrero, it's like, well, one, JBL's a great heel, and two, Eddie Guerrero's a beloved babyface.
Right.
So there it worked. And so you could play the American as the bad guy, which was kind of the inverse of Hulk Hogan and Lex Luger and all that traditional, and even John Cena. The Americans meant to be the when you look back at Hogan's era, it was like, oh, who can we get as the foreign invader from, the Iron Sheik and like Yokozuna, Ivan Koloff, and exactly what monster from abroad.
Monster of the week, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so they even had to turn Sergeant Slaughter, who was an American hero character, heel. Just I don't know.
Well, talking about like wrestling sometimes getting too real, I believe that incident famously kind of really incited some real life global tension that there was at the time.
And what a predicament for Sergeant Slaughter, where you hear, we're going to put the belt on you.
Right.
And so, of course,
it's a good news, bad news situation.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to take that. You're going to headline WrestleMania. You're going to defeat the Ultimate Warrior for the world title. But we just need you to betray your country and everything you've stood for. Never mind that you had G.I. Joe action figures and all this kind of stuff.
Oof.
But yeah, and so then he had to have like armed protection, so the legend goes.
Indeed.
But yeah, okay. What were we even talking about? Jake Hager. So
have you seen? I've got one more thing to talk about with Hager, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Have you seen the purple hat stuff? Have you seen what Hager himself has essentially pitched for what he wanted the purple hat to become?
No. What was
it? This is amazing, right? So what he wanted to be was basically like Groot from
Groot,
Guardians of the Galaxy, who only
Yeah.
ever said, "I am Groot." So Hager wanted his whole character to become wearing this hat, and all he would ever say is, "I like this hat." And the characters around him would always understand what he meant by that.
Oh
Like,
my
I
god.
like this hat. Yeah, I'm mad too, Jake. Da, 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 da. I like this hat. Yeah, it was a good match, wasn't it? Like, just
No, like
yeah.
it
And
works
apparently
for Groot.
he was talking about it, saying like, "Oh, and I pitched this great idea to Tony Khan, and he wouldn't let me do it." And I can only imagine. And my big hope, suddenly I had this light bulb moment. It won't happen because
Yeah.
WWE, at least on the air, aren't that outright petty. But I would love to see this, right? Xavier Woods,
Well,
over
yeah.
the past few weeks, hat stuff.
Yeah,
I really, really want a
Yeah.
New Day backstage promo where all Xavier Woods says is, "I like this hat." They don't
Yeah,
have to
that
do a running thing, but do it this next Raw. And
Oh wow, Hager needs to copyright trademark that phrase or something quick. But yeah, so like the thing that's a shame about Hager is him saying like, oh, like I was in the Stadium Stampedes. No one was watching the Stadium Stampedes for him. He was just Jericho's heavy,
Right.
basically. He was a former world champion, but he was a failed world champion in WWE. He was, I think, in the top 5. Jinder Mahal, Jake Hager, I think, are the poster boys of people that were world champion, where historically you look back and it's like, that made no sense. That didn't work at all.
It's and I think I would agree and go further and say that there are some champions where, let's say Jey Uso, who is still in the middle of, should we call it his prime character wise?
Yeah.
Like, we might look back on Jey Uso in 10 years' time and say, actually, that got good. Like,
Yeah.
he was
fair.
was worth a run or two, right?
Yeah.
We can like him or not at the moment, but he's still a work in progress character wise.
Yeah.
With Jack Swagger as he was then, and I definitely with Jinder, there's a feeling at the point of them winning the title where in real time you're just thinking this is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Like, where is the thinking here?
Yeah.
You know?
Like the only logic behind Jack Swagger was, well, he was like he's a real NCAA, so he's got something behind. He could really kick your ass.
Have the Lesnar angle kind of hybrid.
Yeah, that was the idea.
Alternate universe, that's what he would have been.
With Jinder, he'd really got into shape. Like, and he had really when you see him in 3-man band, and then he came back, he looked like a monster.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have it in the ring, and he didn't have it personality-wise, is the unfortunate thing. There's probably some others. Okay, let's very quickly, because I'm going to have to wrap the show just on the hour, just because I've got a Geek Battle show coming up. Let's have a quick look at the matches for WWE Clash in Paris. I think there are only 5 that have been announced.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's surely going to be something else. Apparently McIntyre versus Orton hasn't been announced for it, but they're going to. So we can take that somewhat as read. Yeah.
In Australia filming, I think. So
okay.
Off on Drew, Cody.
Yeah. So well, let's start there. McIntyre, Drew. Who's going to take the win?
McIntyre, Drew. He'd be fighting himself.
Shit.
You've been unwell.
I'm not well.
McIntyre, Orton. I think
Orton.
McIntyre has to win because
yeah,
keeping him hot for the Cody feud that's coming, and I think the Cody feud could carry the sort of top line title picture for the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like McIntyre has earned a world title run. Everything he did with Punk, like the way he's found his character and everything he has done in the last 2 years, it's like this was obviously what, when he was the chosen one, Vince could see in him, right? Because I was like, I don't get it. Who is this guy, right? Yeah. Then when he won the world title, I was like, well, he's Scottish, but I was like, Yeah, Britain. Yeah,
British.
UK. Yeah, we've done it. Ooh, right. And I was like, where did this come from? Honestly, I wasn't into it. And even though his matches were good and he was getting there, and Drew Galloway in TNA, he was clearly so much evolved. But the last 2 years, it's like this should be the guy, and if they don't do it soon, he will genuinely. They'll lose their chance to capitalize on it. He's going to age out. The hotness of the character, the edginess, it'll be too far gone.
He's also someone who has literal history of leaving and going elsewhere to better himself.
Yeah,
I could see that if he starts to feel like he's not getting what he feels he's worth, that he might go elsewhere. And if you talk about, I think there's a very, very short list of people who could genuinely move the needle for AEW. I would put him on that list.
Yeah, I agree. And if he went there and kind of did everything that he's been doing, which clearly a lot of it has come from him, Yeah. Anyway, let's fire through these now. So Becky, Nikki Bella. This has got to be, if Nikki Bella wins the Intercontinental title, I will eat this hat.
Well, you just have to wonder whether is there going to be creative backlash for the Aussie thing?
Ooh, oh shit! I retract.
I hope not. I really hope not. I mean, we don't really have time to get properly into the Aussie stuff. I thought it was fine. I thought it was cheap heel heat.
It was. Was it just too soon?
I think it was too soon. I think the issue is that if you're gonna invoke his name, and he's I don't know, is he a Hall of Famer in the WWE?
I think he
certainly got. So if you have that link, give the family a call and say, like, can we do this? Because it seems that Kelly Osbourne, who is perfectly within her rights, by the way, to say, I hated that and that was disrespectful. She's a grieving daughter. The family then would have had the right to say, actually, no, don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's too soon. I didn't mind Becky going there as a heel. But yeah, just they could have played that a lot more sensitively to the family than they appeared.
But did they just give Becky a live mic, or did she not run that by anyone? Because
this is the thing. If it was anybody lower down the card, then I would be sitting here saying, well, whoever wrote that line should have cleared it, because they're not going to be out there saying things that hasn't been written for them. I believe, and who knows really, but I believe Becky is probably one of a few who gets quite a lot of creative license with a microphone, because she's proven that she can handle herself in that way. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was given to her by a writer. It also wouldn't surprise me if that was her riffing with the Birmingham crowd.
Because it is literally, he died on July 22nd, so it is the next month.
I mean,
so it's too soon. It would be like controversial stuff aside, as if they were making like a Hulk Hogan joke on Raw.
Right.
People would just be like, that's crazy to do.
I think where I gave it a pass as well is that she actually didn't say anything bad about Ozzy himself. She was actually saying he's the only good thing that's come out of this whole.
But he left it, And So
it was Anyway,
it was a too soon kind of thing, much too soon. But it wasn't outright bad in its actual content. It was just the timing.
Sure.
Okay, Sheamus versus Rusev. Now I've got nothing. I like both of them. I've given zero cares about Rusev since he returned though.
Yeah,
but this match being on this pay-per-view just makes it feel like when WWE used to come to England in like 2002, and we'd just get like the B team list of wrestlers just with like Austin on the top of the card.
It's a TV match on a PLA.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think like it seems to be following an eerily similar pattern to Sheamus and Cesaro from years ago. And you know what? I liked the bar. So if we get Sheamus and Rusev as this brawling tag team for a little while, it gives them something to do, I guess.
That's a fair point.
I'm a bit meh about the whole thing, to be honest. Which is a shame, because they hit each other really, really effing hard.
Yeah. Well, they lay it in, right? Okay, so then we have Fatal 4-Way World Championship. Seth, Punk, Jay, and LA Knight. Surely Seth just can't lose it.
Seth's got to win. Like, there's enough moving parts in there that you can protect everybody.
Who is eating the pin? Because it looks like it has to be LA Knight again, kind of thing.
Jay.
You think Jay is? He lost the title, and if he eats the pin, like if they do it to Punk, then it's like it will build the story as long as it isn't just Punk taking another L for no reason. I think it would hurt Jay, but yeah, I think it just buries LA Knight.
Yeah, I can't. I guess with the WWE title, I can see, as I say, Cody Drew being the thing for the next few months. I wonder if they're going to build to Cody Punk at Mania, but that's another conversation.
Cody Punk, that would be an interesting.
It's one of the big matches that they haven't pulled the trigger on. You know.
Yeah.
But, so
and AEW didn't pull the trigger on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see with that belt and that lineage, if you like, a clearer future. I don't know where they go with the World Heavyweight. I don't necessarily want to see Jay in that picture for a little while at least, which is why I think he could take the loss, and then maybe you have LA Knight feud with Seth singles, which is what they were trying to do before they pulled the whole work shoot injury thing. So that could be a make good for Knight, you know. But
it could be. Okay, Seth has to win, and then lastly, Cena and Logan.
Cena to
kind of like if it was for the world title and Cena was heel or face, then I'd be like, well, Cena's gonna win. If it was right at the end and Cena was still the champion, I'm gonna be like, oh, are they passing a torch to Logan here?
Wow, there'd be some jeopardy there. Huh?
Yeah. I don't see what the benefit would be of Logan winning, and obviously that would be a big win for Logan, but I think it would just make Cena look bitched out on his way out.
And I think as well, I never thought I'd get to the point where I'd say that the last few weeks of Cena have been pretty feel good for me, even as a total Cena fan ever. I've really enjoyed him. I can see that he's enjoying being back in his old babyface sort of boots. But he's lost the only ever match he's fought as a babyface. Like, not only ever, but since he turned.
True.
Like, he needs to win this one to be like, I was right to kind of come back.
100%. That's good logic as well.
You did miss one match though. There is another singles match. Is it Roman?
Roman and Bronson? Yeah.
Which to be fair, I am not surprised you forgot to mention it because
but you know what? This is similar. Like, if Logan beat Cena, it's just not feel good. Cena is just like, it's not passing the torch, and it doesn't help Logan. It helps Logan, but not massively. If Bronson beats Roman, it would just, to me, feel like when Paul Heyman was suddenly managing Ryback or Michael McGillicuddy or Curtis Axel, I should say, and it's just like, well, this is just a pretend Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah, and I think Bronson Reed is sort of the lowest rung on that division they're actually called now. I think they're going to build for Roman and
Braun
Breaker, which I think is
Braun.
I just hope, I don't really care what happens, to be honest. I just hope that Bronson Reed keeps the Shulafala for a little bit longer. I'd like to see him add a few more pairs to it. Like, have you seen he's got a shirt with shoes like that looks so stupid. But,
this is where they take the Ulafala was more important than the world title like 18 months ago. And now then it's like a Shulafala joke. Oh yeah, bad
We've
stuff.
Come a long way.
Where the hell is The Rock to come and save this shit? Basically,
I don't even know that his return would get a pop and it would get ratings, but storyline wise, I think it's beyond saving. Which is why they turned Cena as quickly as they did, because they thought, well, we're never going to bloody resolve that whole sell your soul thing. So, well, I guess he's a babyface now.
Well, look, so The Rock could come back and just like if John Cena's last match was The Rock, if everyone would be like, oh, he should have passed the torch to someone. But I don't know if there's a better historical opponent of Cena's where to have like the big final match. And then he could pick up any of that stuff with Cody, and he could pick up to then have his match with Roman and then go off into the sunset. I think if The Rock is going to come back, it's sooner rather than later, because Father Time isn't going to allow it for too much longer anyway.
No, indeed.
Right, Ian, on that note, let's wrap this up today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it has been.
Good. So where can the people find you?
Next time we're here, I'll hopefully be here too. So see you then.
Awesome. And for me, check out everything Extreme Improv and Slam Jam. Follow Extreme Improv on all of the socials, and follow Slam Jam Wrestling Show, or Slam Jam Show as it is on some of the... I need to get like a thing, because I can never remember all the things, just so it's in the background. But until next time, stay safe, always stay extreme, and keep slamming and jamming your Slam Jam broners, and we're off the air.